Hi there, welcome to Belfast High School History Department on YouTube, and this little video is going to look at life for African Americans in the 1920s United States, and it's going to focus on the experience in the northern states. Okay, so we have looked before at the southern states. This one here will look at the northern states. Now you know from your history that 75% of African Americans would have lived in the southern states, the deep south. This is solely due to history, due to slavery, due to slave-owning states and the plantations. We're going to actually look at what happened in the northern states, but just remember what's happening in the south. You have Jim Crow laws keeping segregation in place. You have the murderous Ku Klux Klan work with intimidation levels and lynching at an all-time high, 400 murders in the 1920s. And you just got economic deprivation, lots of sharecropping, which kept the African American population economically deprived. So what would happen then is what you could probably guess. An awful lot of African Americans decide that their future is lying in the northern states, and 1 million of them make that move to the north in what's known as the Great Migration, and they start to move to the big cities. You have Chicago, you have Detroit, and you have New York, and they move to these cities in search of better job prospects and greater civil rights as well too. These cities were booming because of the likes of the car industry and lots of different industries in the booming 1920s as well too. So they're after greater prospects and greater prosperity as well too, and obviously the hope of greater political freedoms. However, the challenges actually still remain for them. So they find work, but an awful lot of them find work in very poorly paid and very dangerous industries, the likes of steel, railroads, car production and meat packing. African American women are hired as maids, as home help as well too, but very hard work, long hours as well too. These jobs are poorly paid and paid an awful lot less than whites. Trade unions, you'd expect them to fight for African Americans. That's not the case. An awful lot of trade unions campaigned against black workers because they're fearful that the more would come up, the more would actually drive down their wages and would actually perhaps deprive some of them of actually jobs themselves. And black people were often the last to be hired and the first to be fired in any economic downturn. So life was not pleasant for them. Socially as well, there's also many challenges. So in the United States, you would have had lots of ghetto housing because the vast wave, that 1 million people moving up to those big cities, made a lot of them move to high areas of crime, deprivation, overcrowding. Rents went up, and it was a pretty poor area to be living in as well too. So the likes of Harlem doubled in population in the 1920s. Life expectancy went down to 10 years below white Americans at this time as well too, because of the conditions. Then you have processes called redlining. It's highly racist as well. So black residents were deliberately prevented from having access to loans and insurance due to this policy of redlining, which was basically drawing districts where insurance companies would not fund African Americans. Riots broke out in 20 American cities. You would have had white athletic clubs designed to intimidate black people, fighting in local parks. 38 people were killed in one riot, in particular the Chicago riots of 1919. So while there are many opportunities and freedoms in the northern states, it was clear to many that challenges remained. However, the next few videos are going to show you how they began their fight back through culture and through organisations to try to get civil rights in the United States. This is the beginnings of that civil rights movement and that move towards freedom. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it.